Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Kakodash. Shalom to the hopefully elect out there. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this Isaiah chapter 14. I'm going to go through the whole chapter. Now, what I did was I put in Isaiah, as you can see, Isaiah 14, the Israelites. And there was a bunch of videos came up with Edomites and someone reading out of the book. You know, you can like hear the whole chapter with a pit like it's a thumbnail of a Bible. Maybe open up to the book of Isaiah. And the only video I this had to be maybe the fourth or fifth video that came up, which said IUIC. So I said, okay, there's one Israelite group that went through Isaiah chapter 14. So it says, giving the sense from A to Z, Isaiah chapter 14. So I believe he goes to through the whole chapter, but this way he opens up at the first verse, of course. Start at the first verse, obviously, and he goes off. But it's no big deal. It's no big deal because that was taught back at the One West School. So you're going to have a lot of Israelites that's going to go to the first verse. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined unto them. Now, the way high priest used to go into this, he went into Isaiah the 14th chapter a bunch of times, and there was controversy with brothers breaking it down the wrong way, so they would call a meeting, and high priest Ariel would go through it, and he would always say when he came to the strangers in the first verse of Isaiah chapter 14, he would say that's talking about the other nations, the small hats, the Christians, because they want to be like us. So they're cleaving to what we have, but they're not the people. And then the second verse goes into captivity. And he says, well, that proves it. Well, the strangers in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1 are in fact Israelites. So now what you have to do is, let me do this. Let me bring this over here. I'm going to X out some of these unnecessary tabs, because we got to know the whole book. Got to understand the whole book. So I'm going to let you listen. There's fair use, fair use, fair use. This is not necessarily a diss to IUIC on this particular video right here that you're seeing. So let's listen up, listen up, listen up.
All right, do me a favor. Read Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1.
Come on.
For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Right. So when you read in the scriptures, you have different instances where Israel is known as a stranger, but that's not the case right here. All right, this is going into the other nations. Right? I'm show you that. Give me the book of Jeremiah 5:19. Watch this. Give me Jeremiah 5:19. We come right back. Read it.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 5 and verse 19.
Come on.
And it shall come to pass, when ye shall say, wherefore doth the Lord our God all these things unto us? Then shalt thou answer them, like as ye have forsaken me, and served strange gods in your land.
Right, so that's what we did. We forsook the Most High God, the one true God, God of all gods, and started serving these strange gods. Read on.
So shall ye serve strangers in a land that is not yours.
Right, God says we would serve strangers. Who's we? The we is the Israelites. The Israelites would have to serve their enemies because they sinned against the Most High God. So I want to show you something. Go back to Isaiah 14 and 1.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1.
Come on.
For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel.
But he's going to choose Israel this time. Read.
and set them in their own land.
And set them in their own land. Meaning what? They're not going to be serving in the land of the stranger anymore. They're going to be serving in their own land. Read.
And the strangers shall be joined with them.
Right. How do you think the strangers are going to be joined with them? They're going to be servants. The same way we were servants to them in their land, they're going to be our servants in our land. Thus saith the Lord.
Sounds good. If you're not, well studied, it sounds good. Makes sense, but it's that's not the case. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Isaiah. You notice I don't have a Brady Bunch format. I don't need a bunch of guys to help me out. Eat the word and go and teach the sons of Israel. All right, so Isaiah 14. For the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob. This is ultimately what's going to happen. And you got these clowns, these vocab Malone followers that say the part about going into captivity that is talking about we put the Babylonians into captivity because they had us into captivity because this happened during the time of the Babylonian Empire going into the Medieval Persian Empire. So my question to you Christian clowns out there, how are we going to have servants when we're servants under the Medieval Persian Empire? There was an empire that took us over, which is the Babylonians. Then there was another empire, which was the Medieval Persian Empire that took us over. So how are we going to have slaves when we're slaves ourselves? Were the Babylonians are servants under the Medieval Persian Empire, starting from the rulership, and the Israelites? We were also servants under them, just like the Romans. When we were under the Romans, we didn't have servants. We didn't have slaves under us because we were slaves or servants under another empire. So this has nothing to do with ancient Babylon. So it says, for Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. This is getting ready to happen. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. I want to pull out some words. I'm going to pull out the word strangers. And I'll pull out the word cleave. Let me pull out the word cleave. And the word is sakath. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sapak. Sapak. To join, attach to, join together. To join, attach to, attach oneself, joining. To be joined together, hold oneself together. To join oneself, to cause a scab upon, smite with scab. If you have a child and you lose him for a minute, you get worried. And the child gets worried too. And when the child sees the mother, the child runs to the mother and cleaves, holds tight, because the child thought he was lost. So he doesn't just hold his mother, the regular way, just holding on to her. He cleaves, he like scratches into her, into her skin. So what this is talking about is we woke up as Israelites, right? Oh, well, I'll say this. This individual right here saw the videos. He probably saw GMS, ISUPK, other videos, and he saw IUIC videos, and he said, I know these guys. These are the guys I got to get with for whatever reason. Maybe the garments, whatever, the rat thing, whatever. There was each brother that gets into one of the camps, Sakari, HODC, whatever, they somehow and another, they saw other videos and they said, my spirit kind of leads me to this, right? Give me a second. Forgive me for that. Oh, this is a video I want to watch. This guy, Rabbi Yaron, responds to Black Judean Israelites. I'm going to watch some of this guy. But anyway, let's get back into this. Let me let you listen to a little bit more.
You know,
And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Similar to in one of all things, when you read the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, we will go to our enemies in the want of all things. That's how they're going to have to come to us.
Those strangers, like I said, like he chose to get with the IUIC and he you know, cleaved, past time to cleave, whatever, to the IUIC, and he studied and got the precept package, and he studied, he went to the class, he moved up the rank, he became a teacher. So he's basically teaching what he was taught. So now let's deal with the word stranger. Come back over here to stranger. We broke down the word cleave. People coming under the men of GMS cleave to us. The ones that came unto us and stayed. And we went on YouTube. The first video was July of something like the last week of July of 2007. So there's guys that started watching us in 2007, 2008. So we're talking 15 years. Almost 15 years. Wait a minute, 7 and 7, 14. Let me see something. Okay, 7, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22. So we're talking 15 years. Some of these brothers been in this thing for 15 years. Some 10, some 14. So Jacob is another, Yaquab is another name, is the name that was given to him, and his name was changed by the angel from Yaquab, which means to supplant, to Israel, Yasha'Allah. And the angel said, your name is now no longer Yaquab, your name is now Yasha'Allah. And the angel breaks it down, just like Gabriel broke it down to Joseph, to say you will call his name Yahushai, for he so saved his people from their sin. He, Yahushai, delivered his people delivered their people from their sins. So the same goes with Yaquab getting the name of Yasha'Allah. He said, your name will be Yasha'Allah, because as a prince, meaning Yah, he, Shah, prince, he, prince, God. He's a prince with God, which is another. A prince is a son of a king. If you have a son, you call him your son, right? If you are a king on the throne, your son becomes prince. If you have 5 sons, they become prince, and then eventually the first son becomes king. You have a lineup of kings. Okay. So we're a royal people. The name that was given to us, Yasha'Allah, is a royal name. It means he prince with God. He prince God. He prince of God. Choose Israel. Set them in their own land. This is getting ready to happen. The strangers. Now let's look up the word strangers. The word strangers is Gar, or Ha-Gar, which means the stranger, or Hagayam, which means the strangers. H1616. A temporary inhabitant, a newcomer lacking inherited rights of foreigners in Israel though conceded rights. Let me read that again. It's giving you the definition. There's two types of strangers. There's strangers of the other nations, and there's strangers that are Israelites that left the land and came in the Alexandrian Israelites. They come 2 times out of the year, 3 times out of the year, but it's really like 2. But it's 3 times actually, because it's 3 high holy days. They're considered strangers because they come from Alexandria, Egypt, where they have their businesses and where they dwell at, and they have what's called a pilgrimage to Jerusalem for the Passover, for the Pentecost, for the Feast of Weeks. Because what they do is, when I say 2 times in a year, when they come out for the Passover, they stay for they'll stay for 2 months, about 2 months for the Feast of Weeks, and then they'll go back, and then on the 7th month they go back again for the tabernacles. So it's actually 2 times of the year, but it's 3 different high holy days. So, it says stranger, alien, sojourner, stranger, as with H 376, stranger with H 4480, stranger with H 582. I'm gonna show you something. A sojourner. I ain't talking about another nation. I just gave you the perfect example of a sojourner. Jews, devout men from every nation under heaven. What is that talking about? Israelites that are sojourners, pilgrimage, making a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. A sojourner, stranger, foreigner, a person living out of his own, a person living out of his own country. That right there is talking about Israelites that's not living in their own country, meaning Jerusalem, Palestine. They're living someplace else. And if they practice, keep the law, statutes, and commandments, they're going to come really 2 times a year, some of them 3 times a year, but it's really 2 times a year for 3 high holy days, because they're practicing Israelites. They keep the law, statutes, and commandments. It says a person living out of his own country. Okay, this occurs 92 times. Start with the first one. Genesis 15, verse 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed, it ain't talking about Ishmael, it ain't talking about the 6 sons of Keturah, it's talking about Isaac, shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. That's talking about ancient Egypt. I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. I'm not going to read all of these, but you can read all of them. Oh, here's another good one. Leviticus 22, verse 18. Speak unto Aharon, Aaron, and to his sons, and unto all the sons. The word there is not children, it's sons. Bunyam Yasha'Allah. And it actually says Bunya, which means son, or my son. It could mean but it should be Bunyam. Bunyam. Bunyam means sons. And say unto them, which are the sons of Israel, or whatsoever he be of the house of Yasha'Allah, or of strangers in Israel. What does it mean by strangers in Israel? I gave you the perfect example. The Israelites of Alexandria coming to the Passover or to the Pentecost, that will offer his oblation for all his vows and for all his free will offerings. Is another nation going to do that? No. It's Israel. This is a law for Israelites that are outside, that are living outside the land. His oblation for all his vows and for all his free will offerings, which they will offer unto Yahweh for a burnt offering. You got strangers keeping doing burnt offerings and sacrifices and all that? No. It's talking about Israelites that do not live in the land of Palestine. Now I'm gonna jump the gun right here. I'm gonna show you something. I'm going to go all the way over here. I'm not going to read every precept. Okay, this is what I want. Let me go over here. I believe it's right here. Ezekiel chapter 47, verse 22 and 23. Let's see what it says. And this is for the definition of the word stranger, Isaiah 14 and 1. And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance. Inheritance is what? A plot of land. Inheritance, there's other things that come with inheritance, but the lowest common denominator is a plot of land. Unto you, let me read again, and it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance, plot of land, unto you and to the strangers that sojourn among you, which shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country among the children, sons of your house, Yasha'Allah. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. That's for a stranger, right? Is it talking about another nation? Because if that's the case, then these Edomites have right to have that land. When we come back to the land, they got to be there too, because we got to apply this scripture right here. It says, 23rd verse, and it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourns, there shall ye give him his inheritance, saith Yahweh. Let's read again from the 22nd verse. And it shall come to pass that ye shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you, the Israelites, and to the strangers that were living in another land that decide to say, I'm going to come back and I'm going to live back in the land of Israel. So when they say, well, what tribe is your family from? Or what tribe are you from? Well, I'm from the tribe of Issachar. So what they're going to do is they're not going to give them a plot of land in the land of Judah. They're going to give them a plot. They're going to go to the land of Issachar, and they're going to get a plot of land. And they said, this is your land, and it's given to them. That's why these small hats allow people to come in that are so-called Jews. They call it the right of return or the right of the stranger. So these strangers are Israelites. So Isaiah, the 14th chapter, the stranger shall cleave unto thee is what? 8:16. It says, that sojourn among you. among the Alexandrian Israelites that come to Jerusalem, there might be some of them in the history that says, you know what, I want to live here because my parents want to die here, or whatever the case may be. So they have a family discussion, and they say, we're going to come back. We're going to live in. We're not going to be in Egypt no more. We're going to come back to the land of our forefathers, our inheritance. So the judges will have to get together. They would have to find out what tribe he's from. And I'm stretching it out because there's a lot of idiots out there. There's a lot of dummies out there. You know, not saying that the brother from the IUIC that was teaching is a dummy because he broke it down well, but he definitely went off. It says, well, there's another word. There's Ga, and there's a Nakar. So there's more than one word for stranger. Shall beget, sons. That's the word there is sons or children, sons and daughters among you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country among the sons of Israel, because they are Israelites. That's what the cleaving is all about. They shall have inheritance, a plot of land with you among the tribes of Israel. Why? Because they were Israelite. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourns, there shall ye give him his inheritance, saith the Lord. Meaning, when he comes back and he knows he's a Gadite, he's gonna have relatives among Gad. Then he's gonna say, I want to stay here now with my family. What they're gonna have to do, they're gonna have to find a plot of land, and they said, this is your land. That's all I need. Let's come back over here. I'm sorry. Let's come back over here. I may have to break this up. So let's read Isaiah chapter 14 and 1 with understanding. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Yasha'Allah and set them in their own land. That's the northern kingdom, southern kingdom, the kingdom of Judah and kingdom of Yasha'Allah, or Yahweh Dan Yasha'Allah, and the strangers, the other Israelites, shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Yasha'Allah or Yahweh. So this word stranger is talking about Israelites. Technically, since we're not living currently in Palestine, guess what? We're all strangers. We're all strangers that didn't know that we were Israelites, that woke up to the fact that we were Israelites in a strange land. So ultimately, the Most High is going to bring us back into the land. That's why it said, and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, because the majority of us is out of the land. Shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Yahweh. I may cut this up into parts. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Yasha'Allah shall possess them. The them is talking about these other nations. Number one on the list are the Edomites. In the land of Yahweh in Israel, for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So let's pull out some words. I am going to have to break this up because I'm doing too much explaining. It says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Yasha'Allah shall possess them, the enemy, and the land of the Lord, for servants and handmaids. Let's look up servants and handmaids. The word is Ibad. That's where you get the word Obadiah. And it means servants is a nice way of saying slave, but it actually means slave. Slave, 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 servant, slave, manservant, subjects, sub meaning under. They're going to be under us. We're going to tell them what to do, and they're going to do it. So, you Edomites and the rest of you nations, your future is slavery. Real talk. Let me go to handmaids. And the word there is shapaka, shapaka. Handmaid, maid, maid servant, bondwoman, maiden, woman servant, handmaiden, bondmaid, servant. I didn't want to read this, but it's there. Wench. What is a wench? Let's look that word up. Second Samuel 17, verse 17. Now, Jonathan and Amaziah stayed by En-Rogel, for they might not be seen to come into the city. And a wench went to hold them, and they went and told the king. Okay, let's look up the word wench. Come back to that. Wench. No, that's went. Wench. Slave girl. Maid, maiden. So let's take this word. Let's go to that's not what I want. I want wench. Let me come back over here. Let me do this. Okay, wench. A girl or young woman. Archaic, a prostitute. Of a man consort with prostitute. What what does it mean to call someone a wench? Wench, archaic. A girl or young woman, especially a buxom or lively woman. What is a buxom woman? What is a buxom woman? A woman that's thick. Jake likes them thick. Or lively woman. Jane played the role of a wench in an Elizabethan comedy, a girl or young woman of a lower class. So are we gonna have bed wenches in the kingdom, concubines? You got damn right we're gonna have concubines of the other nations. So now let's come back over here. We're gonna be dealing with these other nations' women. We're gonna have bed wenches. This is a future event among our enemies. Number one enemy on the list are you Edomites. That's why these small hats are making so much noise, because we done found out who we were. So you got celebrities among Jake that's saying it, so they're attacking the celebrities because they say things, and that's a big influence. That's why they're punishing Kyrie. And is Ye still missing? And then you got Whoopi. She's saying that she's my that's my real name, Goldberg, because I'm one of them. So they don't want you to associate the JJs with Jake. And they're not really getting on us too much, is because we don't have as much influence as these celebrities do. Let celebrities more celebrities that keep coming out saying that we're the people and we found out we're the Israelites, the more they're going to punish, they're going to come against them, because they're trying to knock the fact that who the real people are. This is why they allowed the Cushites. And to them, the word Cushy means monkey or nigger. When they say Cushy, they call them that's a derogatory term for a so-called black people person. But they say that the Ethiopians, the Philosophists, came back in because of the right of return. So what are they saying? That they're Jews too. So they're telling you that there's black Jews. I met many Sephardic Jews, and you would think I had met and talked to Sephardic Jews, and they look just like Dominicans, just like Jakes, just like Ephraim. You know, they got the curly hair. They don't have that. And they'll tell. One woman said, "I'm a Jew." She said, "I'm not a European Jew. I'm not a, what did she say? I'm not a Ashkenazi. I'm a Sephardic Jew." There's a difference. And I'm talking to her thinking that she's an Ephraimite, an older woman. But we had a very good talk. I was doing Uber, and it was a long distance ride, and we really got into talking, man. It says, "And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Yasha'Allah shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors," the ones that oppressed us. Who's oppressing us right now? This man, Esau, the Edomites. Let's read a couple more verses, then I'll close it. 3rd verse, "And it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall," which is coming to pass very soon, I hope it's this year, "shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve." That hardcore slavery. That's why Jake is asking for reparations. That's the talk among Jake. Not Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton is an insider. That's why that funny looking, mortician looking nigga, when they asked him about Kyrie, is that a good enough punishment? He pretty much said, yeah. So he wasn't for Kyrie because he's an insider. He's well taken care of. Let's go to the fourth verse, see what that says. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. So when we go out there, for the ones you Israelites that say, see, I'm not with them camps. Them camps shouldn't be out there doing it. Why is everybody taking a notice of the fact that they're kind of clinging to Israel? Clinging to Israel, strangers clinging to Israel, they shall cleave unto Yasha'Allah, because they're watching us on YouTube and we're on the highways and the byways. We're all over the place, not just GMS, but all the groups out there. You got the IUIC marching. So that's giving more attention to the IUIC, which people realize, well, there's not just the IUIC. You got the ICPK, you got the GMS, you got the SACAR, you got a lot of different groups. There are a lot of different groups and they have differences, and then you pick and choose as to what group you're going to get with. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. Who's the current king of Babylon? The leadership of this place. This is Babylon, the daughter of Babylon. And say, how have the oppressors ceased? The golden city cease. Because this is the golden city. They tell foreigners that when you come over here, the streets are paved with gold. Then they come over here, they don't see no gold. And they busting their ass, and a lot of them go back. I went to Mexico years ago, and you had a lot of vendors out there. A lot of those Mexicans didn't work. They had set up tables and stuff. And I remember when there was one president that said you can't go out, you can't be on the streets no more, and they actually had police go out there and beat them. They were just beating them, and that's what government does. You know, there's two sides to the government. The government leader, the president, whatever, he says good things, but really he's you know, if his policies don't go the way that he wants them to go, they use force. That's why all governments have a military. It's to punish the people. That's what sanctions are all about. Sanctions are to hurt the people of another country. It says, fifth verse, and Yahweh has broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter, and the scepter of the rulers. That's this man. He's going down. No, these other nations are doing their own thing, man. They're setting up their own alliances, China and Russia, the BRICS nations, which they added another, 4 nations to it. So it's a counter to NATO and the EU. So this man is going, the sun is going down on this man. What's this guy? Damn, I can't think of his name. Great singer out of England. Damn, I can't think of his name. Damn. Wait a minute. Give me a second. Let me do this. Bear me for a minute. Benny and the Jets song.
Songs frequently mentioned on the web include Benny and the Jets, Benny and the Jets, Benny and the Jets, and others.
Elton John, Benny and the Jets. So he sung a song entitled Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. When I hear that song, I think about this place going down, Esau going down. It's a great song, but it's about that he's singing about the downfall of his kingdom, which I believe he's a Jake. That's for you, Paul Kersey. He who smote the people in wrath with a continued stroke that put us in captivity. When you didn't want to work, why did Jake go out there and work? They went out there and worked because if they didn't work, they got hung up and whipped, or they got something chopped, the limb chopped off of them, or they were put in a hot box. But they don't think they're going to pay, and reparations is not good enough. He that ruleth nations in anger, not just us. What was Mahatma Gandhi all about? To free the Indian people from the oppression of the British. All these dark nations, they were colonized by the British. So through the years, they slowly pushed out the British. It says, 6th verse again, he who smote the people with wrath, with a continued stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, not in love, because if you love somebody, you're not going to put somebody in hardcore slavery, is persecuted and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth in the singing. This is when this man goes down. The other nations are going to be happy. They waited for the manifestation of the sons of the power, Romans 8. Yeah, the fig trees rejoice at thee, the vegetation, including people, and the cedars of Lebanon. Because what does Esau do? They chop trees down to build cities. And that affects the flow of, we breathe in oxygen, oxygen, and they breathe in the trees and greenery, mainly the trees, they breathe in CO2. They breathe in CO2 and they emit oxygen. So you cut down all the trees, a lot of people are going to die. This planet was built first for the Most High to put living beings on it. You know how if you build a house from scratch, and let's say the person in the house is on a wheelchair bound, well, you got to build a ramp. You got to build a bathroom a certain way for a person that's handicapped. So the Most High made the earth, so because he designed the earth, or the angels led by Yahushua designed the earth, and then he designed the animals and the people to live on the earth. We literally live off the earth. What we eat, everything comes from the ground. Yeah, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fellow or faller, which is a lumberjack, is come up against us. That's talking about the trees, and that's talking about the people, because we're going to govern the people by the law, statutes, and commandments. It says, I may stop on this. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It have raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. Let me read this in that. I believe it's the NLT. Oh, let me read this. This is the NLT, Isaiah 14:8. Even the trees of the forest, the cypress trees and the cedars of Lebanon sing out this joyous song. Since you have been cut down, who? Esau, the Edomites. No one will come now to cut us down. So this is poetic. Talking about the trees, but it's talking about the people. Because we're going to treat the people right. The one that's going to be getting the worst ass whooping is Esau. He's going to do something right, and he's still going to get his ass whooped. 9th verse. In the place of the dead, there is excitement over your arrival, meaning of you going down and us coming up. The spirits of world leaders and mighty kings long dead stand up to see you, or to see your downfall. With one voice, they all cry out, now you are as weak as we are. Your might and power were buried with you. They're gonna bury you, Jack. If you can tell me what movie that's from, you're good. The sound of the harp in your palace has ceased. Now maggots are your sheet, being poetic, and worms your blanket, meaning death. Ghost town. Babylon's going to be a gigantic, the biggest ghost town on the planet, which is a desert. How are you fallen from heaven, O shining star? Now King James says Lucifer. Lucifer just means old bright morning star, shining star, son of the morning. Lucifer, son of the morning, we're going to take you out of earth. Lucifer, 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 son of the morning, we're going to take you out of earth. I hope I said it right. Because Lucifer is Esau, the leadership of Esau. So you're going to be taken out. You have been thrown down to earth, you who destroyed the nations of the world. Not just a region of the world, the whole world. You found resources on one world and you went with your armies. You sent in your missionaries, then you sent in your mercenaries, then you sent in your armies. You are the great devil of this earth. For you said to yourself, I will ascend to heaven and set my throne above the most high stars. Who did that? Who did that? The Chinese didn't do that. The Africans didn't do that. The Arabs didn't do that. The sons of Japheth didn't do that. I will preside on the mount of the gods. We are the gods far away in the north, because we're in the north. The great deliverance is going to come out of North America. Okay, let me come back here. 9th verse, Isaiah 14. And I will stop at around, I will climb to the highest heavens, the sky, the clouds, and space, and be like the Most High. Instead, you will be brought down to the place of the dead, down to the lowest depths. You're going to be a nobody. So we're going to stop at 15, right? So we got 17 verses left. Let me read 9 and 10 again. In the place of the dead, there is excitement over your arrival, over your downfall, and that's coming up. The spirits of world leaders and mighty kings long dead stand up to see you go your downfall. That proves reincarnation right here. Isaiah 14 and 9. With one voice, they all cry, and now you are as weak as we are. That's Joel. Now, what comes to mind? What precept comes to mind? I believe that's, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's Matthew 12. Let's see if I'm correct. Matthew 12. Let me try this. Okay, I got it. Start at 40. For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, the originals is fish. So shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh shall rise in judgment with this generation, reincarnation, and shall condemn it because they repented at the preaching of Jonas. And behold, a greater than Jonas is here. The queen of the south, which is Makeda, that visited Solomon, shall rise up in the judgment with this generation. That's reincarnation. And shall condemn it, for she came from the uttermost part of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, a greater than Solomon is here. It says what? The men of Nineveh. That means they're gonna condemn this place. We don't know who the queen of Sheba is right now, but she's somebody probably in a high up position, a high official political position somewhere, maybe in Africa, maybe in the Middle East, that's going to rise up and condemn this place. Anyway, with that, we left off at the 15th verse, and we'll continue it. I'm gonna take a little break. I may do the rest later, or I may do it tomorrow. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna say shalom. On to the next one. Shalom.